Howdy, Immortalium here, and today I'm doing a review of Patema Inverted. Now, before I start, discussing the film, I better just simply say how I saw it. Anime Limited, I picked it up in the UK and Ireland for DVD, Blu-ray and a collector's edition, but it hasn't been released yet. How I saw Patema Inverted is there is a film festival, a Japanese film festival being held in Ireland right now. So I saw it up on a big screen. So anyway, what do I think of the film? Well, let me just describe the story first of all. We meet a girl called Patema. She lives in caverns with her people, but she wants to journey into the outside world, which she does. And when she gets outside, we realise that gravity works on her the opposite way it does to us. Meaning that she's clutching onto a fence in her best attempt not to fall into the sky, which is pretty crazy. At this point, we are also introduced to a character, a lead guy, called Age. Age, he's part of this kind of totalitarian society. He and his classmates go to school on a conveyor belt, and they are educated about this great calamity that happened in the past, where scientists attempted to harness energy from gravity, and it caused, like buildings and people and everything to start falling up into the sky, but that they were able to keep themselves pure, and that's why they can stay on the ground. But all those who gravity works in, inverse on are corrupted and sinners. And it progresses on from there. This was marketed to me, from what I heard, as a romantic science fiction. I wouldn't necessarily say it's romantic, actually. It is about the meeting between a boy and a girl, but there's nothing inherently romantic about it, I would argue. It's more about two different people meeting and trying to deal with each other. The first half of the plot is a bit formulaic. It's the same kind of standard. The girl gets kidnapped by the big baddie, who is the leader of this totalitarian society, and Age has to go rescue her. So that's a bit formulaic. It's still good at that point, but it is something that we've seen a million times before. But the second half of the film is where things get really good. Because all of a sudden we are bombarded with twist after twist after twist. It's pretty crazy. But it's also like, it's a, we just don't, like, we're kept on our toes, like wondering, wait, from whose perspective are we seeing and what, and everything. So I would argue that the second half is stronger than the first half. Having said that, I was a little bit disappointed at the ending. The ending has this big revelation scene, and then kind of no expansion upon it, no explanations, no hints per se, which I did find disappointing. There are some hints like previous to that, but I would have liked something a little more solid. They didn't have to spell out, how everything had happened, but I would have liked some kind of hints at the end. Maybe an epilogue would have been nice. Now, the characters themselves, they're kind of really flat as characters. Our lead boy, Age, his father died trying to create a flying machine, which was frowned down upon by the totalitarian society. And he wants to fulfill his father's dream, and also keep Patema safe. Patema is that kind of curious girl. She kind of just wants to find out what the outside world is like and to protect her people. And then the other characters are kind of standard. We have our guy who's kind of jealous of Age because he gets to hang out with Patema. We have the totalitarian leader who I knew he was going to be a bit cliche at the beginning, because literally we are introduced to him. What does he do? He gets this big, he looks right into the camera, he gets this big smirk and he goes this. And at that point I just knew that, he wasn't exactly going to be the deepest villain ever. Keep in mind, this is only a 99-minute film. For what they did, the characters served their purpose. They're not unlikable, but I do think they're fairly flat. And I would have, if they could have like extended the movie's film time by maybe a half hour, just put in some more character moments, I would have appreciated that. Maybe they didn't have the budget, but I'll get into that in a moment. In fact, right now actually, the animation It's got a very appealing art style. You know, big, massive eyes. You know, clean looking characters, nice level of detail. Some very detailed backgrounds and some very lovely CGI use in this film. But the actual animation, it's not bad per se actually. In fact, actually quite often it's very good. But I would argue that it's one of those anime where they know their key moments, they put all their money on that, and then all the other moments suffer a bit. Because particularly at the beginning of the movie, when things are kind of slow and everyone's kind of figuring out everything, there's some iffy animation there, a little stiff, not as fluid as I would have liked. But by the time it gets to the second half of the film, where everything's, you know, completely in action, every shot is looking really lovely. So yeah, the animation does improve, I will say, but I would say that it's one where they were probably stretching their animation budget a bit, and they just had to select their key shots. The music, I didn't actually take that much notice of. It's good from that perspective, in that it never interfered with the film itself. But it's not particularly memorable, I will say that. The voice acting, it's pretty strong. I saw this in Japanese. I don't think there's been an English dub made for it yet, and I'm not sure if Anime Limited will be making an English dub. From what I've heard, I'm not sure if it's been picked up in America. But the voice acting in Japanese is very strong. But the thing that really holds the whole film together is the direction. Now, I just want to bring this up. There are probably, okay, in the 99 minutes, there's probably maybe 10 or 15, you know, shots where we start out at one character's perspective and the camera simply turns around to show us the perspective of the other person involved in the shot, whether it be Patema or Age. And you know, particularly in the latter half of the film, I was constantly trying to figure out, like, from what perspective are we looking at, which, you know, I've found quite refreshing, you know, just kind of constantly keeping me on my toes. So like, there's some very lovely camera pans, and there's also some very clever moments. Like at the beginning of the film, there's a bit where Age is going off to school and Patema is in a little shack, and he's walking away, and you know, the music is playing, and every time she shouts out to him, the music stops for a moment, and he like says, you know, oh yeah, 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 and then it starts again and he's walking away, and then suddenly she calls out something else and the music stops. So that was funny. So there's some very clever direction, and from what I've heard, this isn't the first movie this guy made. I think it might be his first feature-length film, but I know that he did a Kickstarter for some other anime series. What was it, Times of Eve? Is that the show? I'm not sure, I'm not that familiar with it. But I do have to say I was very impressed with the direction. So what really, overall, what really holds this film together for me is the concept, you know, of someone, you know, who we have two people meeting who gravity works differently on, and the animation in general, not all the time, the art style and the direction. That's what really holds the film together for me. There are some niggles, I will admit. The flat characters, the moments of iffy animation and inconclusive ending. But overall, I would recommend it, and depending on the extras that Anime Limited decided to put in for their collector's edition, I may end up getting the collector's edition. If there's not much extras, not much incentive to get it, I'll just get the Blu-ray. But I would recommend for a Blu-ray. You know, it does look very nice. So that's my review of Patema Inverted. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and bye-bye.